banning first, and they will, right off the bat, that's pretty fast ban, get rid of, looks like Capitao. Interesting choice.
That's a great choice against SK.
Yeah.
Crucial pick for the way that SK plays, because Jarvis is going to be running that Capitao almost every single round.
Yeah.
And when we saw SK play here previously, Capitao says all of our strats are gone now.
What are we going to do? Capitao's been banned. Oh boy. So Jar can't frag without. Oh, so apparently Jarvis was looking forward to playing Capitao. It's not going to happen. Lion gone as well. As you talked about, Lion, one of those operators that is just default banned in almost all these matches these days. He doesn't see a lot of play anymore. Echo the first defender to go, and here comes the final defensive ban from Obey. That's going to be Valkyrie. That makes a lot of sense.
That's also Jarvis's character on defense. So they've basically counter-banned Jarvis to try to take him out of the fight. You've also seen at DreamHack Montreal Hot and Cold running the Valkyrie an awful lot, putting Jarvis onto the Vigil, which means that Houghton might have to flex onto a different role if he's been the one carrying the weight as Valkyrie as of late.
So, some direct counter bans there from Obey. They clearly know their opponents, and now they're going to start out that very first operator selection phase. Interestingly, Clash going to be brought out just full frontal, no 6 pick there. Going to display it for all the world and their opponents alike. Looks like no, they're going to choose to 6 pick that. So it was a little bit of a fake there from Skies. And bringing out Pulse is going to be a very useful operator on Consulate, no matter what site you choose to go to.
Yeah. The last time we saw SK here in the regular season was in Week 4 against Space Station, which, funny enough, they 6-0 Space Station at DreamHack Montreal, and they also defeated them in Week 4 on Consulate. As for Obey, the only time we saw Obey here was they played Rogue, and it was a tie. So Obey, neither of these teams have lost on Consulate in the regular season thus far. So either if we don't have a draw, that trend's going to be broken.
So the setup here, you can see the castle from a man. That's an interesting operator to be brought, but it makes a lot of sense on the top floor defense. Of course, the most important castle barricade usually going to be the one by Big Desk, but you can see he's placed 2 on the north windows over in the bathroom and the yellow stairs. A little bit different than what you usually would see from the castle, and it looks like his third might have also gone down. We'll see in just a moment. Yes, indeed, it has on the connector window. So no castle barricade in the main doorway to the B site from Obey, which is why a lot of teams will actually bring him on the site in the first place. So they have something in particular in mind, and seeing as how there is not an abundance of soft destruction on SK, it might actually hurt them. Yes. Oh no! A huge blunder there from Pojo. He's going to accidentally hit the palm tree, it looks like, using his Excaros. And now he only has 1 more. Though that's not the end of the world. Lots of hard destruction, not a heavy hard destruction site. The hard destruction will probably just immediately translate into soft. They're going to be able to open up those castle barricades in the end.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the Thermite of Houghton as well playing on that role.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm most interested to see is how that Capitao ban is going to fix this, because I know Mint joked about it in the chat at the very start, saying all of our strats are gone, but they run a Capitao pretty much every single round on attack. It doesn't matter what site it is. So this is going to be a different attack strat being whipped out on at least 5 rounds. Jarvis looking like he was going to put his drone on top of the bomb, but there's already one there, so you don't need to.
Occupied.
They've also got Jarvis on the Dokkaebi, who's an operator that after the SMG-12 changes really did not see a high pick rate at all. She came crashing down to earth. And if I recall, prior to this half of the season starting up, she was at like 40 or 50%, being run an awful lot. And we saw very little.
Middle of the smoke, and it looks like it's not going to be very isolated B site, easily
taken off a window. Nix, who's on Repel himself, will get one onto Bosco.
Site at all, really. A little bit of a mistake there from Obey, cost them the round, and it's really quite that simple. Interesting to me. I mean, we still have the smoke, and the gas canisters were placed, but they weren't covering the entire site. Well done to Houghton again for being able to find plan. Of course, Echo's not on the
to push open that bathroom wall, and hey, look at that, you'll have a clear line of sight.
drop. It also opens up flank avenues for Obey later in the round.
Right there, because it prevents you from being shot through the wall and gives you a place to stand in an
Quickly refrags onto Pojo, who was carrying the diffuser, which is now down outside. With last 30 seconds coming into play, Nix is going to miss some really important shots. Will finally down the Maestro of Skies, though.
Probably one of the best shots on Obey, I would say. He doesn't usually miss. Can't really hit the ground running.
Absolutely right. It wasn't even against a 3-speed. No, these transitions, they do happen very quickly. Well done to SK, though, making
Capitao will hurt SK. Capitao being off the board is good because that's a deliberate target ban.
admin office, which is a lot more sparsely defended, and it will open up more avenues for SK on this push. It also means, though, so they're aware that there's likely to be
Take an engagement through that small opening, but you've still got a logic bomb and 2 smoke grenades left for Jarvis. You saw the ADS position by the window and projector had been burned by Nick. To overcome. Houghton will miss a pre-fire yet again. He did the same in the round previously, but Nyx is still there with Pojo holding a tight angle through connector. He'll obliterate Maman as the C4 goes off in vain. Only 2 left. Jarvis pulls out that C75. Adam, the former member of SK, will fall, and then Skies is last man up, and he'll be last one down. That's a flawless round from SK, and they'll walk.
in an admin push, but it didn't help in the slightest. They couldn't top floor all that much. They put up... Run out from Skies manages to get Nyx. Bosco takes down Mint, Benji onto Pojo, and Houghton is now the last attacker left alive. Obey finally.
Bad by any stretch. A lot of people here brainless. Bosco. Obey is going to be able to pick up their very first round.
Relevance in the meta as more operators come out, more layers get added to
because of mines. Ash is a tiny hitbox and a good gun, don't get me wrong. The R4C is still an incredible weapon.
True.
But that decline was furthered by the appearance of Lion, because Lion turned almost every single operator into an Ash when his gadget worked. So a lot of teams were using these non-traditional fragging operators in fragging roles, meaning that the most value out of Ash, which is just her ability to very quickly take up ground and win a fight, diminished a lot because you had tools available provided by other operators.
Just trying to find those pure fraggers again. And Nyx has been making it work for him and his team very well.
What did I say about quickly get in, take up ground, and get a kill? That's exactly what happened. She just rushed right in,
yep.
and my man just got completely caught out as he was trying to move towards the yellow stairs.
So, SK making what they making the tools they know they have at their disposal work for them exceptionally well, and they also now have control of admin office and a man advantage to boot. But this is the dangerous thing. The best I could say for Obey right now is thank you for bringing a Maestro. They also have a Pulse who could potentially be playing downstairs and still they have those gas canisters from the smoke. So they have all of the tools necessary to hold this site as SK attempts to isolate it. The question is, will they be able to pull it off?
Yeah, we'll see the first round of smokes go off, but all it does is manage to cut off Bosco's line of sight. That's all that is accomplished. And keep in mind that smoke is Bosco on that smoke is so deadly, even with the changes to the SMG-11. But as you mentioned, he wasted one of those toxic babes, meaning he's only going to have 2 left. And if they can bait another one out now, they'll be in really good position towards the end of the round to not have to fear the fact that they could be choked out from getting a plant off. They still have to be wary of the fact that they have a Maestro. Those Evil Eye cams might only do 5 damage per tick. What a great shot from Skies there as Mint just looking the wrong way. They'll take out the Buck as Hot and Cold is able to take out another member of Obey. That's Benji, so the advantage will go back in favor of SK. But man, there's still a lot of utility available for SK to be able to get this plant off just solely on the 1 smoke grenade and the 1 logic bomb from the Dokkaebi, but that's really it. They'll have to frag out after that.
Here comes the actual push as the last utility from... Whoa, what a push from Bosco, the counter to take out Pojo as he attempts to vault into the A site. It was a very smart play and it managed to work out for him. An aggressive one, but as we said earlier, Obey needs that aggression. Nyx is still alive in a good position to establish a crossfire, but Bosco at it again, takes down Jarvis. Nyx inching his way in, but misses the shots onto Bosco and cannot recontrol the A site. Hotton goes down to Adam, and it's just Nyx in a 1 versus 3. What is happening right now? Bosco goes down, and Nyx will finish him off, but it's just not enough time, and Adam gets that final kill. Obey take their second round in the first half and end it 3-2 in SK's favor.
I don't know how much of that is intentional, as Bosco just looked like after the smoke cleared he was going to try to control the windows and got really lucky as Pojo jumped into the barrel of a shotgun.
Well, either way, it was a good play. Whether it was luck or it was
a great play from Bosco.
Yeah.
That almost single-handedly wins them the round because now you've got the rest of the team needing to not just retrieve the diffuser, but also vault in through a window where they'll be vulnerable against a shotgun at close quarters. And Nyx is going to have to completely rotate off of long desk to try and also assist, maybe to establish a crossfire or go for a trade. But if you go for a trade at that point, you still find yourselves down by 1 because you lost Pojo earlier. So Bosco, basically the sole reason why that execute fell apart, outside of, who knows, Skies winning that engagement downstairs in Piano.
Yeah, that win for the Pulse downstairs was huge, but obviously the C4 didn't come into play for the counter in the end. But yeah, it was definitely a great play from Bosco. And now SK, they looked like they were going to end that 4-1. They looked like they were going to end that 4-1, and now they're going to end it 3-2. So they have a lot more work to do if they want to regain the significant lead that they had in the beginning of that first half. Now, they did win 3 in a row and then lose 2 in a row. So that is a pretty heavy momentum shift to consider.
One thing worth considering as well is the fact that we're now 6 rounds in and we have yet to see a single garage hold. And that's part of because the fact that Maverick is unbanned. He makes trying to hold that wall almost impossible because you can't really bandit trick or mute jam it if there's a Maestro in play to just simply open up holes and force you off of the garage. That's something that Mouse did very well when we saw them play console, especially vertical, being able to open up the holes on that garage and have to force the defenders off.
At the same time, of the 4 sites available, we only saw 2 played: top, and mid. And then top again. So clearly a very pre-planned set of sites from Obey. They didn't really anticipate, I guess they weren't anticipating going to anywhere else. And on the other side, we didn't see Maverick at all from SK. And of course, you can't necessarily predict the bomb site, decisively. The only way you can start doing that is if your opponent wins rounds and you can say, oh, they can't be here, they can't be there. So it just seemed like SK wasn't big on bringing Maverick, and at the same time, Obey wasn't big on going to the bottom floor, which is kind of, well, it's interesting.
Nyx and his wonky suppressed LMG for Maestro almost got taken out swiftly as Skies repelled in through the admin window and then saw him, engaged him in a fight. But I mean, a 3 armor isn't usually that elusive, but Nyx played the wall and was able to get away. This is look at Nyx, just like holding this angle through the double doors all the way towards the back of long desk. That is really something here, as we've seen Nyx do this time and time again. He's assisted with an ACOG. They put him as far back as possible, but still play him aggressively from that angle. It looks like he managed to find 1 drone, possibly a second. And that could be a waste of the drone economy here as we hit the halfway mark.
Maestro, yeah, playing that long angle, very dangerous. He is exposed. He is, of course, one of the main forces to counter the plant, but he's choosing to push long desk, and Skies will just shut him down. I have no idea what Nyx was thinking there, but it was the wrong call in the end. And now any potential evil eyes inside of A will not be able to shoot any planters. Grenades from Skies, going to try and clear out some utility, potentially get some downs. It's not going to happen, though, as both of them now have been detonated. Jarvis takes down Adam, so an immediate response, well, not immediate, but an eventual response from SK. There's still plenty of time here for Obey, though. They were so efficient in taking the admin office that now they can wait a little bit and feel out this push. They don't need to rush themselves. Benji's in a great position to cut off rotation using that Blackbeard shield, and he will do just that on the A balcony. The rest of his team now looking to make the final push.
There's Benji at those double windows needing to try to walk inside, but or at least vault inside as the Blackbeard. You've still got my man holding this angle, and he'll get down through that desk. Diffuser goes down as Hot and Cold is able to eliminate one member of Obey, which will make the retake a bit easier, but it's just a touch, not that much. Jarvis is rotate back to site, cut off by a Claymore, but Skies will be there to greet him. And Bosco also downing Pojo, means that it's Smoke and Jaeger as last two standing. You've still got that Blackbeard with the Castle Barricade assisting him. Skies eliminating Hot and Cold. He's had a great round so far. We got a lot from Mint here as he's going to need to try to win this 1v3. But his work is cut out for him. He's got the SMG-11, and it bobbles an awful lot. He sees the Blackbeard just over the head, unable to control the recoil. Obey will tie things up. It's a great round overall from all of Obey, but also Skies as the team has woken up. And that's 3-3.
So, a nice
Obey equalize and set us at 3v3 or 3-2-3 as SK now on their second defense.
Yeah, so it's been 3 in a row for both teams. SK with the first set, Obey with the second set. And now we have a situation where we want to see those changes start to come out. Is it going to be Obey keeping the cascade going now in their favor, or will SK start to make things work in their favor? Console office, meeting room, so the top floor yet again, SK is unwilling to waver on their defense of that top floor, and they'll be going to it once more. They were unable to hold it the first time. Some changes have been made, though. We're seeing the first clash, if I'm not mistaken, on this map, as well as no more castle upstairs. Instead, bringing a pulse. So the UMP is still there, but in the hands of another operator, and a much more vertically lethal operator at that.
Yeah. SK bringing out the clash will be very interesting to watch. As we've said before, if there's any team that's going to be pulling out all this new stuff, it's SK.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not that we haven't seen a lot of clash. We've seen her quite a fair bit. She's had a much higher pick rate than Maverick, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I mean,
overall,
Maverick is great as an operator, but he's situational. I think you need to have a wall where you can isolate yourself as an attacker, and it's not expected that you'd be opening it in order to get full advantage out of him. Either that, or you can use him to counter, things like bandit tricking and mute jammers, but it's not as reliable as some other means to do just that.
Yeah. Look at this, just like a spawn peek from the clash. Pretty sensible.
I mean, you think about it, Valkyrie's banned, right? And you could still gather copious amounts of information just by looking out of a window. Why do you not normally do that? Well, because you don't have a shield, and now you do. So, options abound with Clash. You can really make that work in your favor in many different ways. Interestingly, we actually have Benji playing with the SMG-12, which is kind of crazy.
To think, yeah, a lot of teams have been running the C7.5 now just because it is overall, I think, a lot easier to use for these players. So
yeah,
the SMG-12 went from being one of the best weapons in the game to now probably one of the hardest to control, as it should have in all reality. And I'm glad that they made the changes that they did. I think a lot of people will quarrel over whether the SMG-11 and the Bearing 9 needed to be hit, because I think that the SMG-12 was the focal point for those changes to the SMGs, but I'm content with it, honestly.
I remember so vividly in my head so many clutches with the Bearing 9, one magazine spray, getting like 3 kills, and it's a lot of power in one SMG, and I'm just happy that it's not a primary weapon anymore, because you touched on it earlier. A lot of the time, players would use them as their main weapon. Now, this is interesting. Evil Eye survived the barrage there from a man. He missed both of his shots from the lifeline. That is really bad.
Oh, that's going to be frustrating too. And I mean, not only do you have the Evil Eye up to zap you, but more importantly, it's going to be there in a position where it can see you, and it's going to have almost total control of that room. So, I mean, you're going to be able to see that and look from your small angle. Now, mind you, there isn't a wide field of view for it, but still, it's going to be very powerful in order for your down teammates that, will be on inevitable drone and cam duty to try to tell you exactly where everything is happening from. And speaking of, it's a heavy stack up for the time being, inside a bathroom and on yellow stairs. So, hey, would you look at that? It'll be very quick as Bosco looks away and almost manages to get a sight onto the Clash, but I don't exactly know if he missed or if he just didn't see. Pojo will pull out that SMG-12 or SMG-11, and great job getting the Bosco kill. Now on yellow stairs, he's looking for another. Meanwhile, his phone call ringing away as Dokubi's phone calls went out. He's going to be confronted by my man, and there you go. Finished off in a good joint effort as well, having one on rappel on that bathroom window.
Last 20 seconds, 4 versus 4, and the attackers managed to open up with a kill onto Hot and Cold. That's the connector player finally dispatched. From behind, Jarvis attempting to pull out a C4, but it will not connect. My man will push down and get that kill. Benji takes out Mint. Sky is the final kill on the Knicks, and a complete collapse from Obey. They continue their streak and put it 4-3 in their favor.
Must be so defeating for SK, but Obey is just banging on all cylinders for the time being, especially as Obey was wrestling with SK to try and take away as much of that control on yellow stairs as they could. I think SK did a pretty valiant effort at keeping Obey at bay before the actual initiation went down. Missing the C4 and then missing the gunfight for Jarvis on the yellow stairs obviously is not ideal, but I think at that point it was almost all but over for SK as Obey had just an awful lot of control and just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and SK lacked the utility to be able to stop them and then just didn't win their gunfights, even when the utility was all dried up.
Parker, I've ever told you that your levity is one of the brightest lights in my life. Thank you for it.
Do you live in a dark room?
Actually, yeah. Now, Obey...
You literally do.
Yeah, I actually do.
He literally does.
Some of my, a lot of my lights, actually the bulbs are dead, so.
When he was house shopping, he said, give me one of those, like, the dark rooms for photographers. He's like, but a whole house like that.
All right, but Obey in the driver's seat, clearly, 4 in a row, the basement... the next site. So we finally get to see SK, or anyone really, bring it to a different bomb site. It's happened, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving on. And interestingly, we're going to actually have a full reinforcement of the drop-downs to try and deny any potential rush strategies from the archives or anything along those lines. It's going to be a good amount of control for SK. They do have a lot of indirect, as you can see. They've brought the Maestro. That seems to be one of the staples of their defense in particular. If I'm not mistaken, they've been bringing it pretty much every round.
Nyx will typically fulfill 3 roles on defense: Maestro, Mira, or Echo, depending on what is and is not available. Now, Mira is unbanned, but SK hasn't been using her at all. We saw Benji playing her on Obey. As for SK, Mira doesn't always really factor into their strats, and I know that there are a number of teams that will say that, well, we don't really practice with Mira all the time because we figure she's going to be banned so much. She does have the highest ban rate, I think, of any operator, but Lion's slowly getting close to being able to take that, I guess, distinction away.
Yeah, no, Lion's been getting banned quite a lot lately. We saw him so far banned in both of the matches here today. So, yeah, that could very well happen. Now, Obey have control of the top floor. They've successfully droned it out and cleared it, and that only took them a minute. It's a very efficient take there from Obey, so props to them for that. And now they're going to start their focus on the middle floor. And of course, after that, they will have the vertical control to put pressure onto any defenders, anchors, that is, on the bottom floor. So these are the steps of the attack for Obey. Very basic stuff, and it doesn't look like SK is putting a lot in the way of stopping that. They had some players in bathroom, but Mint, the final one to fall back. They also have the vigil of Jarvis playing over on the spiral staircase, which could, at any moment, spring out and put some pain into the sides of his opponents. He will actually make that push happen now. No one immediately exposed from Obey, but he's just looking for opportunities.
I think it's worth noting how much this Valkyrie ban has hurt SK. And I say this because just observing them at DreamHack Montreal, so many of their calls came from Valkyrie cameras and Maestro cameras that were just allowed to exist for the entire round. Mint had an off-screen 1v4 clutch with Valkyrie cameras helping him land that. He's just playing Bandit on border, and the calls from his team were so crucial to getting the picks that he needed. They don't have that happen. That clutch does not happen without those Valkyrie cameras. Anywho, transitioning in here as we only have 45 seconds left in the round. First kill is going to come from Jarvis, and he's going to pick up a second. He's got a pair on the round as both Skies and Benji are gone, the Buck and the Dokkaebi. That's two great gadget-based operators. It's going to leave just my man left with the opportunity to possibly try and do some work with that lifeline. He's got one of the impacts left and two concussive blasts. The other remaining members of Obey are the double hard breachers of Thermite and Hibana. So decent fragging potential. But they're going to have to take care of Jarvis first. He's lying prone inside a piano. They'll double up on him. Adam will be the one credited with the kill as the Vigil basically dies for the team, but has wasted a ton of time. Nyx is down from the hatch, and Bosco just failing as Nyx crawling around that barrier. Pojo will get a kill on him, a man, and this is SK looking to stop the bleeding. Mint is in there, and an inability of Bosco to land his shots. Hot and Cold playing the Maestro instead of Nyx will give SK their first round since round number 3, and we'll tie things up.
So, as you said, SK stopping the bleeding. Well done to them. Bringing it back to a nice even 4-4. So we've got complete and even round count. But here's the big thing. It took them going to the basement for that to happen. And they went to the top floor twice. That could have been an SK round sooner in this second half. And it could now be a lead for SK if they had, instead of choosing to defend the top floor twice, just made it one simple rotation. Now, also important to note is they have to go anywhere but the basement now, since they have managed to win it. It looks like they're going to go to the site of right above, which is that main lobby.
Yeah, so at least we get to see the garage. Or we got to see the garage, right?
It was good to see.
But that's all we're going to see from it. Because it's going to be locked for the next 2, right?
Mm-hmm. So we're very likely to see this go all the way. I'm seeing this, you know, we could easily see a draw right now. But the way this is shaping
I think it's definitely shaping up for that. You know, if that round in particular had gone in favor of Obey, I think it would have been an Obey win outright. But yeah, I can see this round here on lobby perplexing Obey, and then Obey being able to tie it up at the very end, which is a huge. That's a win for Obey. I mean, it's a loss in the sense that they didn't get the win that they wanted, but they're currently sitting in last place. They need every single point they can get. And I mean, being able to draw the first place team is, I think, is beating a lot of people's expectations.
Oh, certainly. Now, SK, they're going to be defending the main lobby. And if they can make this work, they put themselves 5-4. But then after that, they have to either go to the top floor or the news site. And that's one of the big complications, is the news site. Now, I would imagine after losing the top floor twice, and very decisively at that, they're going to make the adjustment. They're going to go to that news site here in the tellers and just below in the server. But that leaves them exposed to any potential practice that Obey has put into that site, because from my understanding, from what we've been hearing, it's actually not that hard to attack, and it's in fact harder to coordinate a defense. So that's a big risk. No matter what, SK is in a precarious position here, and they're going to have to make a win happen on either a site that they haven't been able to win so far, which is top floor, or a site that they haven't gone to so far, which is that new one, in order to get the victory.
Yeah. So we'll see where they're going to go, though. But anywho, focal point for the time being is Benji. I think he's expecting a possible run out here. The last time we saw Obey play on this site, when they won it, was when they just went absolutely, I believe the kids say, ham, and just challenged every single member of SK, and they won all their fights. And it's Benji still just watching for a possible run out at the bottom of those Visa stairs through that little window that is available there for both the attackers and defenders to use. Now, losing your Dokkaebi would be the only set of smokes that you have available, as well as those logic bombs being silenced and will not be available whatsoever. So you want to make sure that Benji stays alive, as he's going to be critical for the plant to happen. And I think now, yeah, my man's made it to the window now, so I think you can see that there's a bulletproof camera right there.
He'll get it.
Sometimes you have a bit of difficulty with it.
Just give him a second.
There you go. You just need to slap it down.
Yeah. Now he's going to continue to try and hold on to his flank as he starts his push upstairs. This guy's the follow-up as well. See, they haven't taken full control of the top floor. What are you doing, Mint? Completely exposed to Projector, not paying attention to the push that is clearly happening from the attack. A lack of information gathering. This, I think, ties into what you were discussing earlier with the Valkyrie not being there thanks to the ban from Obey. Not able to decipher that there is, in fact, a push coming from admin office. Jarvis trying to put some fire down from the spiral onto my man, who's got a great position and lands a great shot to follow up. Adam also takes out Pojo. The diffuser's been planted. What is happening? SK not holding onto the site. My man will get yet another kill, leaving Nyx the final defender in a 1 versus 4 now that he gets the one tap onto my man through that narrow angle. He's going to have to push his way onto yellow stairs. He's just trying to get as much control as possible. He's got that phone call ringing away, and the information for Skies to get the final kill is abundant. Obey take another round, and it is now 5-4 in their favor, putting SK in a difficult situation. They have to win on a site they've never won on before, or go to a site that they've never defended before.
Two things that are happening at the moment that are really aiding Obey. Number one, that Valkyrie ban, critical.
Yeah.
The ability to take away the information, either SK's comms are just not on point, but it doesn't look like they know where anything is happening. The amount of times that somebody just kind of walks haphazardly into the line of sight of somebody from Obey has been happening way too much to think that there's, it's normal. It's not coincidence. It's not luck. It's happening because one of SK's greatest tools, which is either Jarvis or Hot and Cold playing on that Valkyrie, has been taken away from them. And number two, Skies needs a lot of praise. I mean, it sounds like we praise him for being a very competent fragger, but a lot of times the biggest criticism of Skies' play is that he's often detached. He'll be playing on, a deep flank with a heavy utility-based operator, not really providing much to the push, or, his roam is disconnected, etc. Skies as a whole has been playing much tighter with the team. He's been holding the angles with the team. He's been playing with the drones of the team in order to get those kills. Overall, he feels like he's not exactly the lone wolf that we see from him a lot on both attack and defense, and it's paying dividends. It's really working right now, and that's why he's been able to just rack up so many kills before we went to a rehost, and now here with 4 since we've come back.
Yeah, he's been doing great, and it is, like you said, it's great to see him in an environment where he appears comfortable. He's always been a really good player, but as you said, somewhat detached from some of his in the past, and that seems not to be happening nearly as much anymore. So props to him for that. He has been instrumental in taking control of the top floor, especially whenever pushing onto anything that isn't the top floor, and even when pushing onto the top floor itself, when clearing out the admin office. That's been a lot of the tip of the spear for Obey, and I'm sure it will continue to be so. As you can see, they're starting their drone game. They are going to, yet again, be going for an admin office take. This is the strategy they employed on the first 2 rounds of the second half, and it worked out tremendously for them. And SK, on the other hand, I'm sure will be making a multitude of adjustments in order to counter specifically an admin take.
Yeah. As well, a big part of SK's defense is Jarvis on this Vigil. A lot of times he remains forever elusive and just uncatchable. That's really not the case right now, as Jarvis is just, he's getting caught out. I mean, he had that one really great round on Garage where he was able to pick up those 2 kills to start things off, the pair when he's playing just by piano before getting pinned down, but he did so by also burning 2.5 minutes off of the clock. As for the rest of SK, it's been a pretty quiet day for most of the team, with the exception of Jarvis and Nyx, at least in terms of fragging potential. Though Houghton is always there and is so consistent, especially on attack when he was fulfilling that Thermite role. Yeah, and
Jarvis and Nyx, of course, the 2 newer members to the team, both of them, and I think they were brought on specifically for what exactly you were just referencing, which is that their frag potential. I think that's what SK thought they really needed out of any potential new players, and that's exactly what they got. So Obey just pinging away at the defenses, waiting for their opportunity to make this push and just trying to have everything going in their favor when they eventually do. You see the mirror window that was left unbanned, well positioned to deny a push onto long desk, which denies a nice crossfire for Obey, and they're going to try and change that if they can, but it's a daunting task.
Yeah, and I mean, you've managed to clear out all of admin. They got one of those Xkaros pellets off on the wall of long desk, as Benji actually gets hit by a toxic babe as he's repelled by those double windows and suspended upside down inverted. He manages to down Pojo, finished off by Bosco. A good joint effort from Obey to get the very first kill on the board, especially for them as they look to put this one out. It's currently 5-4, match point in favor of Obey, and we're about to transition to the execute, but Jarvis trying to make sure that we get a draw here as the former member of SK, Adam, is the first target for SK. And dealing with this bulletproof camera, there you go. My man will take it out. Bulletproof cameras being brought out as a substitute, possibly for those Valkyrie cams, though we know that SK will typically run them. Here by Long Death Skies will use his Hollow all the way down. Houghton has been down, will get picked up. Diffuser going down as well. Bosco stopped by Jarvis in his tracks. All SK needs to do is survive for a couple more seconds. Skies with another. That's 2 kills for him. He's going to try to find Jarvis, but single-handedly, that Vigil is there. And we're in match point, but Diffuser goes down. Look at this, Jarvis and Mint so low. Benji and Maman so low. Benji will get finished off. Maman is last man up, but Diffuser will need to be worked away at. This is very winnable for Maman as he sits on the Visa stairs, possibly fearing a flank. Benji just sitting outside, won't be able to give much information as he doesn't have a line of sight at the moment. One will push up, that's the mirror of Mint. He'll clutch it as long as there's not a Claymore for him to possibly run into here. We're going to have a tie. Jarvis and Mint will stay alive, and SK Gaming on the verge of losing will give us a draw. And like I said, I think that's a win for Obey. It's giving them a single point here.
Yeah. Going against the first seed, that's definitely what they wanted to get out of that. And, you know, of course, it would have been nice to get the outright win, but still definitely going to be something Obey is happy with. SK, on the other hand, that's not exactly what they wanted. They need to secure and shore up their first place position, and now they're not going to get as much as they could have. But they did manage to stop the bleeding, and that's the most important thing. Not an absolute loss.
Yeah, no.